Welcome to our press conference on May's Business Outlook Survey with Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst in the Bank's Research Department, that's the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and myself, Catherine Dibbling, Senior Media Representative in the Public Affairs Department. Today we will take questions from Ellen Freilich of Reuters and Kathleen Madigan of Dow Jones on what our manufacturers had to say about business activity in May. First, Mike will give us a brief summary of the report. Mike?
Thanks, Kathy. Our region's manufacturing executives responding to the Business Outlook Survey reported slight growth in their business this month. Indexes for general activity, new orders, and shipments were all slightly positive, but fell notably from their readings in April and have fallen off the last 2 months. The current employment index, however, showed resilience and improved. Firms continue to report higher input prices and prices for their own manufactured goods, but both price diffusion indexes moderated this month. The region's manufacturing executives still expect business to grow over the next 6 months. However, overall optimism has waned notably over the last 2 months.
Okay, questions. Kathleen Madigan of Dow Jones.
Hi, Mike. Are you getting any sense of what's behind this really obvious switch from, March numbers were so unbelievably strong, and then they weakened in April, they weakened in May. I mean, is it energy costs? Is it just an overall worries about the economy? What's behind it?
We rely more on the answers to the questions as posed each month than we do the comments. And actually, there haven't been that many comments about slowing. Some firms mentioning choppy demand. A few firms mentioning slowing. A lot of the comments have really been focused on the impact of higher costs, surcharges for energy and transportation and commodities. So their focus has really been on the cost factors. However, the last 2 months we've seen a slide in the broad indicators, and as well as the 6-month forecast numbers. Still not seeing anything negative, but just a slowing in the levels of the indexes that we saw earlier in the year. Again, the comments don't really suggest the slowing, and are focused on prices.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Questions. Ellen Freilich, Reuters.
Yes. What about the employment indexes? When you what does it mean in terms of sort of absolute numbers?
Yeah, I mean, the employment index this month was the resilient number. It actually increased, I think, about 10 points, 11 points. 10 points, I'm sorry, where we saw all the other broad indicators fall, and actually had an increase in the share of firms reporting increases in employment this month from 20 to 32%. A little bit of moderation or a lower average work week index, which is, it looks like the other broad indicators. However, we did ask employment questions in the special questions this month. We repeated a question that we asked in January in a slightly different form. And when we asked the firms about their plans for employment over the next 12 months, we had a fairly large share of the firms, nearly half of the firms, indicating some plan to expand their payrolls over the next year. Which I think is a statement of some positive expectations.
And Mike, does that mean expanding, over what? Expanding over what?
Over the next year.
No, I mean over what level? A depressed level, a level. I mean.
Well, we've had an increasing share of firms reporting employment growth the last, since the end of last year. Up to a third of the firms reporting some growth. So to get a level, as high as 50% of the firms indicating growth, is high. But we don't ask about the levels, obviously. So it could be a very small increase in employment, but at least the direction of change is indicated in the survey responses.
Let me ask you this: would you consider a special question where you asked them what was the what was the population of your payroll at the end of a given year, let's say 2005 or 2007 or 2009, and versus what you expected to be at the end of 2011?
Right.
Because that would give us a more vivid picture, I think.
No, indeed, and in fact, we have asked that in the past, but not in this particular question. We asked them about not only growth, but all the factors that are contributing to their expectations for higher growth, or what factors are holding the employment growth back, and those are all laid out in the tables for this month's survey.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen, Madigan, Dow Jones, you have any follow-up questions?
No, not for me, thanks.
Ellen, any more?
I can't think of anything at this second. Let me just double check and see if somebody asked me. Well, I guess I just want to go to the employment again. I mean, what's the highest percentage of firms reporting that they expected to hire in the next 6 months that this survey has ever recorded? Let's say when things were really at a strong point in the business cycle, did you ever have 50% of your firms reporting that they plan to hire, or 60%, or was the highest ever 47%? Just trying to...
I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the data file, but I mean, on this month's survey, for example, it fell from 45% over a 6-month time period to about 29%. So we did have a fall off in the expectation of employment growth over the next 6 months in this survey, but the special questions were really focused to a 12-month horizon. But I can get those numbers for you without difficulty.
Sorry, I'm fiddling with my mute button. Last month, 45% of firms said they expected to hire in the next 6 months, and this month, 32% did?
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, we went from 45 to about 29%.
29.
According to the numbers, yeah. Which contributed to the fall off in the 6-month diffusion index from about 38 to 22. So, but still, on balance, the firms are expecting to hire, despite this fall off in the broad 6-month indicators for activity and orders and shipments, which I think reflect, some increasing uncertainty or doubt about growth. But
when they say expecting to hire, does that mean full-time people?
again, we didn't ask that in the standard survey question, but would be covered in a special question of some sort. So
Right. Because it would be interesting to know whether they're planning to make a full commitment to a full-time employee, or whether they're just taking up a few seasonal people or on a temporary basis.
that's right. And we
That's
have
a qualitative difference in employment.
Sure, and we have asked those kind of detailed questions in the past. If you go back a few months, we did have some reference to full-time, part-time, agency help, etc.
Mm-hmm. You mean taking on workers from a temp agency versus taking them onto your own payroll?
Yeah, I don't have those dates in front of me, but I can give that to you too.
Right. No, I just think those are just sort of shades of difference, but meaningful shades.
Right. Yeah, we've had a tendency to use the same standard questionnaire because it is qualitative, and these firms are.
Well, then, how long has the Philadelphia Fed Index been in existence? Like 20 years or more?
Since May of 1968. So
that's a really long time, right?
Yeah, and the form has not changed in that entire period, primarily because it's easy to get quick responses and qualitative responses.
But a lot of sort of shifts in the nature of the workforce have occurred in those 40 plus years.
Certainly, and in some of our other survey work, we've been realizing that part-time, full-time agency help questions are useful, but we haven't made changes to this one.
Right. Okay, listen, thank you very much for your time. Kathy, thank you.
Thank you for joining us,
Everything else good?
Ellen. Freilich.
See you next month.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. You've just been watching May's Business Outlook Survey press conference call. My name is Catherine Dibbling, Senior Media Representative in the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia's Public Affairs Department. And with me today was Mike Trebbing, Senior Economic Analyst in the Research Department. Next month's survey will be posted on our website on Thursday, June 16th at 10 a.m.